Commissioner, it is great to have you with us. If you can fight your way through, the floor is yours.
Dear President of Business Europe, dear Mr. Byro, dear colleague Tajani, ladies and gentlemen, let me congratulate Business Europe organizing this day just in time to interesting issues related to our European labor markets, to our competitiveness, and to our industrial development. Europe, we have an important industrial framework and basis. In many member states, industry is the core of our economy, and I think to speak about this 20% target, saying we need more industry and additional human services and financial services, and not instead, should be a clear priority for everybody in the European Parliament, in the Council, the Commission, and with all our governments and national parliaments. Industry. This means infrastructure, innovation, research, development. This means high-skilled workers. This means investments, and it means energy and acceptable prices for energy. More and more looking to steel, carbon, glass, cement, chemical industries, and others, textiles. Energy costs are relevant on the same level as labor costs are, or more. And so, let me be quite clear. Our energy policy should be developed after we define our industrial strategy. Do we want to hold energy-intensive industries in our EU? Or it's our interest to import these products? I think no. We need the whole chain, from automotive and OEMs to manufacturing, to tools, and to products as steel and aluminium. Last week we presented our energy prices report, and I think it's a good basis for discussions and for political strategies. It's not oil. Oil is a global product in a global market with one global price, more or less. It's $105 the barrel in Chicago, in Shanghai, and in Rotterdam. So some say it's too high, others are thinking it should be higher because of efficiency, but it's not any advantage or disadvantage for anybody in a global competition. Same with coal. Coal is a global product in a global market with more or less one global price. Coal from Colombia, the US, Canada, South Africa, Russia, or Australia, or some own produced coal, one price. But we have not, for the moment, one gas market, and we have not at all one power market in our world. Gas more and more is on the way to be a global product by LNG and new terminals, by new pipelines. But at the moment, the gas price in our EU, related to the US, means factor 3 or factor 4. And this is for our industries not acceptable. And for our private households, not acceptable as well. So we need a clear gas strategy. We have to come to a highest level of diversification. Russia, Norway, Algeria. Now we are opening the southern corridor, getting gas from Azerbaijan, I hope from Iraq as well, maybe from Turkmenistan, or on a mid or long term from Iran. additional LNG gas from Nigeria, Libya, Qatar, and others. And maybe the US will open their market exporting shale gas via Houston to Japan or to Europe as well. We have to unbundle our gas markets and our gas prices from the oil markets and the oil price index. And we should hold open our shale gas option. At the moment, 1/3 of our gas production, and we are consuming some 560 billion cubic meter a year, 1/3 is coming from own sources, mainly UK and Netherlands. But these sources will come to an end in next 20 years. And so shale gas, instead of having 100% imports, can be a part of our energy mix, to hold the option to come to demonstration projects, to trust engineers, to see that it's feasible without violating our groundwater and drinking water. Should be an option for next years. And UK, maybe Poland, Lithuania, Romania are pioneers. You should advise them, accompany them. So to hold this option and not to be 100% depending on imports is an additional factor of our strategy. And we have to complete our gas markets. We have to come to internal markets with competition, with transparency, with unbundling, and so on. That's our gas strategy. And next point is electricity. And there is no global market. Electricity was a regional market and now is more and more a pan-European market. And in our EU, we have to pay double prices related to the US. Factor 3, look into gas. Factor 2, look into power, is not acceptable. And the more we speak about more industries in these days, the less we have investments in industries. Europe is on the way to be deindustrialized. And the US have a clear strategy. There's nearly a blockade between the White House and the Tea Party. But there's one common sense. With tight oil and sand oil, unconventional gas, and cheap energy to re-industrialize the US. The Houston region at the moment is the most dynamic region for industries. And in these days, many investments from European companies are going to the US or to Middle East or to Asia, because our energy prices are no more competitive. Our report looking to electricity had a clear outcome. In some member states, more than 50% of the price calculation is taxation and levies, and less than 50% are market-based costs. So our national governments have some instruments to reduce taxation, to reduce levies, to avoid stranded investments in renewables, solar in valleys without sun, wind parks in regions without wind, to come to an European approach, to look which locations are best locations, to avoid stranded investments, to have a speed limit for additional renewables. All this would be cost efficient and would avoid higher and higher power prices. And it's infrastructure. We have to pan-Europeanize our gas and power infrastructure. We need more interconnectors. We need more storage facilities. We need more competition. We need reverse flow. We need more quality and more capacity by super grids, smart grids, and smart metering. Maybe we can't come to the same price level as the US has, But to have factor 3 or factor 1.8 looking to gas, or having factor 2 or factor 1.4 is a big difference. So we have to reduce the difference in our prices looking to the US. And that should be our main ambition when we look to energy policies and to climate change policies as well. Europe should continue to be engaged against climate change. But Europe, standalone, can't save the world. At the moment, our EU 28, we are relevant for just 10.6 of global emissions, 10.6%. In 2030, our responsibility will decrease up to 4.5%. To think that with 4.5% of global emissions you can save the world is not realistic, is arrogant, or is stupid. And so we need a global commitment. Paris has to be key. We need to convince the US, Russia, India, China. Just and only a global commitment can be relevant and can be a successful story looking beyond 2020. Last week, the Commission developed a new package, a communication, looking to new targets. Why? No sector is so long-term, is so invested over decades as the energy sector. And our industries needs clarity, planning security, and certainty. And so 2020 was yesterday evening, and 2030 is tomorrow morning. So to speak about new targets, to speak about a policy beyond 2020, now is, I think, just in time. And it's a communication for the moment, not a legal proposal. And we should continue to work together. Now we have the Energy Council and the European Council in March. We get a feedback from their side. And we will come to a legal proposal maybe in September this year. And then we go into the next European Parliament, into the Council. And these 12 to 18 months we have should be a window of teamwork between unions, between Business Europe, between our industries, and us as a Commission proposing this legal draft before end of the year. For the moment, we have a target of 40%, reducing CO2 emissions. I have to accept this target. Someone are thinking we need a more ambitious target, going to 45 or 50% reduction. And so 40% was and is a compromise. But I think it's an ambitious compromise. And I'm a little bit skeptical. A little bit, I have to be constructive, collegial, I'm a member of the team, but I'm a little bit skeptical. Why? 1990 was a year of reference. 1990 means 100% emissions. And in 3 decades' time, up to 2020, we have to reduce by 20%. 3 decades minus 20%. And now 1 new decade, and again minus 20%, means triple speed. Quite ambitious, triple speed. And let me say, to reduce by 20% between 1990 and 2020, 2 main reasons are relevant therefore. First, Lehman Brothers and the crisis. Recession, stagnation. And second reason, old Soviet plants being decommissioned. In last 22 years, there was no reduction in Austria or Portugal. But there was a reduction by 50% in Slovakia, Czech Republic, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, because old Soviet plants are no more working. This was and is a low-hanging fruit, but this fruit we had one time. There is no more low-hanging fruits. So every percent going down is more and more emissions and cost intensive. So we should speak about this 40%. Let's hold contact, and thank you for this impressive event today. And I wish you all the best in our common interest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Commissioner.